Hey everyone, it's Amber Spotted Elk at the Paper Owl and welcome to my channel. Today we have some Kirkland's inspired DIYs and I am so excited for these. I saw these on their website and the price was, needless to say, something I typically don't want to pay for home decor. So I was able to recreate these for pennies on the dollar and I am so excited for how they turned out and I hope you are too. Just as a reminder, I am so close to reaching 500 subscribers, which is amazing. Thank you guys so much. So I am doing a giveaway once I reach that number. All the details are in my last video. There will be 5 winners, so definitely go check that out. And if you aren't subscribed, definitely hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified every single time that I upload. And as always, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. It really does help my channel. Comment below, let me know which of these projects is your favorite, and without further ado, let's get started.
Hey everyone, so we're starting out with one of these wreaths from the 2-pack from the Dollar Tree, and I am taking it apart essentially so that I've got the 3 hoops, the small, medium, and large. Now Dollar Tree does sell one of these in, it comes in just a 1 piece or 1 pack, and it is larger, so we will be using one of those as well, but I wanted a smaller orb, I guess we'll be calling it. And so I take this apart. Now it may break and that's okay because we're going to be, oh my gosh, I don't know what I just said. We will be wrapping it in twine. So if it breaks, no problem. Most of it comes apart pretty easily, but there are some trouble spots. So if you put your elbow grease in there, sometimes it can break a little bit, and that's okay. So I wrap these in twine, and then I do add a couple extra layers at the top and bottom, and that's going to be necessary to make sure that these stay in that orb shape. So that is something that I highly recommend, and it makes it much easier when we're putting it back together. So I do that on all 3 pieces. I add a little bit extra at the top and bottom of the hoops. So, and then for the other one, it is built to be put together like this, so you do not need to do that. You can just do the single wrapping around that larger one if you're using that. So just as an FYI. And then I am using that large thing of jute that I got from Hobby Lobby. I used a 50% off coupon and it was like $9.50, which is amazing. There is so much jute in there and I just use so much twine, so it's just so necessary. And then I do burn all of my twine to make sure all of the little hairies come off, or fuzzies, whatever you want to call them. It cleans up your project so nicely. It makes it look so much more high-end and put together, not having all of those little furries on your twine. So you can see this is the one that is built for this, and so it has the little pieces there so that it stays together. I am hot gluing that so that it stays in place how I want it to. Otherwise, it does tend to want to swivel on you. So that is something that I recommend as well. And I do burn this one too. If you're afraid at all, you can keep a cup of water nearby, but it's not necessary, I promise. And then next up, we are making this planter, and I'm using these little wooden pieces from Hobby Lobby. They had this kind of small piece at the bottom, so I end up just cutting that off with my craft knife. And that was to make a flatter end because we're going to be sticking it to the end of the dowel rod. And then I use some those 4 little wooden pieces for the feet on the planter. I cannot speak. I apologize for all of my mumbling and fumbling in this video. I'm sure it will continue to happen. So I end up sanding that down. So the craft knife wasn't quite enough because I realized I needed on the other end, so I did take my saw and just kind of cut that down. But I taped this little galvanized piece of metal off, and then we're going to paint our planter box white so that it matches our inspiration piece. Now, this is what I had on hand, and actually I did end up having a metal box on hand, which matches the inspiration a little bit better, but at the time, this is what I thought I had that was going to work best. And so whatever you have, just use that, paint it white, and it will look similar enough. So I got this box at the thrift store, I think for $1.99. Like, it was very inexpensive. Super happy with it. I really love that little galvanized cutout in the middle. And then I just use Waverly chalk paint in the color ink for the feet, and then for the little decorative wood piece, and then the hoop at the top, which is just one of the smallest book rings from the Dollar Tree. You could use one of the shower rings. It just was a little too large for my liking. It just didn't feel like it quite fit how the whole project was coming together. So that's why I preferred the book ring. But, you know, whatever you have, any hoop or anything that can sit on top of that there would be fine. And so once I paint all of these, I do attach them with a super glue and hot glue so that you get that long-term, short-term hold. I did want this to be a nice sturdy piece that I keep around. Once that white paint is dry, I do go back and distress the edges and the middle just a little bit, nothing too crazy. And then I start attaching everything. The dowel rod, I end up for the final piece making it about 15-16 inches long. Like, it's not super long. I did have it longer than that, and then it looked kind of funny, so I had to cut some of it down. So here I'm attaching my book ring to that little wooden piece that we cut down, and I do kind of flood that with hot glue as well, and I make it so that once the hot glue is dry, I can paint over it with the black paint, and it looks like it's all one piece. So I try to make the hot glue look as nice as possible, and it ends up making it look seamless, like it is supposed to be that way, and I absolutely love how that turned out. So you can, you know, just go light-handed on the hot glue when you try and flood that area, and it is possible. So I'm measuring out the middle here, and then I attempt to use the super glue and the hot glue to glue this dowel rod in the middle of the box. I don't know why I was trying to do it this way. It was not working. And then I finally, you know, decided to use my brain, and I got the floral foam from the Dollar Tree and put that in, and then glued the dowel rod in. Again, I don't know why I was trying to do it without that. It's silly. So I take a minute to collect my thoughts. I put my feet on, and again, I'm using the super glue and hot glue. And then I take the large one-piece floral foam from the Dollar Tree, and I measure that out to find the middle, and then I poke a hole in it with the dowel rod, and then I do put super glue and hot glue down in the hole so that the dowel rod is nice and sturdy. I do not want it to eventually like be swaying or leaning or anything like that. So I want this to stay nice and straight for as long as I have this. So that's why I put the super glue and the hot glue down in the hole that I made. So I attach our little piece at the top there, which turned out so great. I absolutely love that. And I'm just cleaning up some of the glue there, and I just attach it in. This is where I take a little bit extra off because I realized it looked just a little bit too long. And then that's it. We just add in our florals, and I'm so happy with how this turned out. I mean, I think we spent around $5 to make this piece, and originally it was $37 or something like that. And so I use lamb's ear from Walmart, which is 97 cents a pick, and I ended up using a couple of those, and then one of the white wildflower picks from the Dollar Tree, and then the purple small roses from the Dollar Tree. And this turns out so great. It's so fresh and clean, and I just absolutely love this piece, and I'm so happy that I could recreate this look for so much less. Next up, I've got this tray from Walmart. I got it on clearance. I think it was after spring last year, and I paid like $1.50 for it. I mean, granted, it's just a plastic tray, but it is sturdy. It's a nice, like, thick plastic. I never intended to have a use for a neon pink tray, so I always planned on doing something else with it. So I just used a flat black spray paint, and then I'm painting the middle with the Waverly White chalk paint. And so I'm going to be making a buffalo plaid pattern. And so you're going to need 3 colors if you want to do it this way. A light, a medium, and a dark. So the white is obviously going to be my light, and then I use ballet slipper from Waverly for my medium, and then I mix a couple of the colors to make a kind of mauve color, and so, or like a dusty rose color. And then what you're going to want to do is make vertical stripes with your painter's tape. And what I do is use a piece of painter's tape to measure the width between my stripes so that they're nice and even. So I just take that little piece and continue using that as my measurement for the width of my stripes. And this makes sure that they're all even and they're the same width apart and don't look funny. So once those are down, you're going to paint with your medium color. So mine is ballet slipper. So you'll paint all of that, and then you'll take the painter's tape off the first time, and then you're going to make the medium color, so the same ballet slipper, making horizontal stripes. So what I do is I just turn my tray and then make vertical stripes again. And so then you've got your ballet slipper going vertical and going horizontal. The second round, though, we leave the painter's tape on and then add an additional layer of painter's tape going the opposite way, covering where you initially had your first round of painter's tape. And you'll see there's kind of a white or a lighter area, and that's going to be where you cover. There are so many tutorials on this, but here I am making the other stripe for the medium ballet slipper here. So you can see I just turned my tray and made vertical stripes again, and then I left those there and did turn my tray back around and did vertical stripes again, and I put the painter's tape again over the light area or where you initially had your painter's tape, and you're going to want to try and match that up as much as possible because that is going to determine your stripes being straight, so, or your boxes being straight. And it turned out so well. I'm so happy with it. This is my first time doing this. I just watched one tutorial on it. It's so simple and easy, you guys. Like, I've seen other people do it before and it seemed kind of intimidating, but it is so simple and easy. And the painter's tape did well. There were like a couple tiny spots that had bleed through. I honestly didn't even feel like it needed to be touched up, so I just left it. Now I am using this resin. It's a 2-part resin, and you just mix equal parts that they give you. And for this, I did heat it up so that the resin went on really smoothly and easily. That's a little tip because it is kind of a thick substance. So if you heat it up, that will help spread it on, and it does help with air bubbles. Now you can also use Mod Podge in gloss or matte, whatever you prefer. I typically like things to be matte, but for the inspiration and just for the general feel of the tray, I really wanted to go for this nice glossy thick layer, and or kind of thick feeling to it, I guess. And I'm so happy with how this turned out. It's just such a shiny tray, and it's so gratifying to look at. So next up, we're going to be making the shelving unit, and these bamboo cutting boards from the Dollar Tree are going to be the shelves. I'm trying to make a geometric design on here, and it just is not working for me. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. It didn't seem like I could get it even, and so I end up just taking the painter's tape and basically cutting the tray in half diagonally with the painter's tape, and I love the way that this turned out, and I just painted one half white. So we're going to be using the Dollar Tree hula hoops. This was from another project, so it was already painted white, but basically you cut off the like sticker stuff that's on the hula hoop, and it's got a connector piece, and you drain the little beads that are inside the hoop that make that like rattling noise when you use it, and those come right out, and you just stick it back together, and that's it. I did glue where the connecting pieces were on the hula hoops just to make it so that it was for sure sturdy and staying together. And then you measure 2 dowel rods for the middle of your hoop and glue those in place. I use E6000 and hot glue to make sure that this sticks really well. I do a couple layers of the E6000 and hot glue, letting it dry in between for all the connecting pieces of this shelving unit, just to make sure it's nice and sturdy. So once those 2 dowel rods are in place, you'll measure where the shelving or the bamboo cutting boards are going to go, and that's how you measure where the dowel rods are going to go as well, because those are the bracing pieces for it, so you're going to want to make sure that they all match up. And then you'll take a second Dollar Tree hula hoop, the same size, and that will be the back brace for your shelving unit. And you will take 2 small pieces of the dowel rod to place at the top and bottom of the hula hoop, connecting the second hula hoop for braces for the piece as well. So here I am attaching the little shelves, and again I just use E6000 and hot glue. If you have like a nail gun for like brad nails, that might be a way to connect the dowel rods to the hula hoop for a little extra, protection, keeping it stable. But honestly, this worked so well for me. I was so surprised at how strong the E6000 and the hot glue held together. I actually ended up dropping this as I was getting ready to stage it, and my heart sank into my stomach, and I thought for sure it was gonna like be in pieces, but it actually held up from me dropping it. So it ends up being so sturdy, more sturdy than I could have imagined. And again, I did go and use a couple layers of the hot glue and the E6000 to make sure that everywhere it was connecting to itself, that it had a good amount of glue there holding it in place and holding it together. So and I do go back and I touch up where all the places were glued with black paint to make sure it doesn't look like I just threw this together with globs of hot glue and said that it was fine. So that's just a little tip there. And you can see here are the 2 smaller pieces of the dowel rod that are connecting the second hula hoop as the bracing pieces. You do need these. Having it connect just to the bamboo cutting boards would not be enough. You could use 2 at the top and bottom for these smaller dowel rods to kind of match the middle piece, but because this is strictly for bracing purposes, I decided to just use 1. And so I again am just so impressed with the E6000 and the hot glue. So happy with how this turned out. And of course, you can't hold like 10-pound weighted stuff on these. It's meant for light items, but compared to the $55-$60 price tag, I mean, I made this for $5, not including the paint, which is just amazing to me. And this is such a good size piece. Like, you know, it could go on any wall. I'm so happy with how it turned out, and I can't believe how well it held together. So I'm just painting the little pieces of glue here now, going in with a small brush, making sure that I don't get anywhere that I don't want to. And honestly, I'm looking at it on my wall now, and it just looks so good. So happy with it. And here is everything together. So our nice and beautifully shiny tray. I just love that so much. And then our little jute orbs. So happy with how those turned out as well. And then this planter is just so cute. It just brings such a spring vibe into the house, and I'm so happy with it. I love the little decorative piece on the top and how that turned out as well. And then of course our shelving unit, so you can see it's holding a pot and just a little candle holder there. So nothing crazy, but it just turned out so well. I'm so happy with everything, and just for a fraction of the price. So these are all so easy. You can all do them. Comment below, let me know which project is your favorite or which one you're gonna try out. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out my last video. I'm almost at 500 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for your support. It is so appreciated. And thank you guys so much for watching, and happy crafting.